On January 1st, the federal tax on a short-barreled rifle stamp went from $200 to zero. Not discounted, zero. Same for suppressors, short-barreled shotguns, and any other weapons. And that one line in a tax bill quietly knocked the legs out from under an entire category of guns. Here's why that matters. For about a decade, the braced pistol existed for one reason. It let you get a short barrel without paying the government $200 and waiting. Take away the $200, and you have to ask a harder question about every new gun released this year. Does this thing still make sense? That's the filter I'm using. 10 new guns from this year, ranked from the ones that barely survive that question to the one that answers it perfectly. And before we start, let me kill a myth I keep seeing in comment sections. An AOW does not skip the paperwork. Never did. We'll get to the gun that proves it. Number 10. Beretta Titan. We're starting with a rifle you cannot buy, and I'll explain why it's still on the list. Beretta turned 500 years old, and to market they built the Titan, a semi-auto chambered in 6.5 Grendel, running a short-stroke gas piston. The materials are the story. Titanium upper receiver, magnesium lower, carbon fiber stock and forend, forged carbon pistol grip. Beretta says it's the first time they've put those four materials into one firearm, and honestly, almost nobody has. Here's the catch. There's no MSRP, because there's no production run. It's a one-off. Beretta says it's the first of 10 anniversary pieces coming this year. So why does it rank at all? Because material experiments at the top eventually leak downhill. Titanium uppers were a wildcat idea a decade ago. Today you can buy titanium suppressors off the shelf. But a rifle you can't own doesn't pass the stamp test, or any test that matters to your wallet. Verdict? Watch it. Don't wait for it. It's the last place on this list, and it earned it. Number 9. Adler RF224. A semi-auto 22 out of Turkey that decided rimfires shouldn't have to wear walnut anymore. The RF224 runs an aluminum chassis, an M-lock handguard, flip-up sights, and a Picatinny top rail. Depending on the variant, you're looking at barrel lengths from about 11.5 inches on the tactical version, up through longer standard configurations with 10 or 25 round magazines. The short version comes threaded, which is the part that matters, now that a suppressor stamp costs nothing. Interesting design. Real question mark on availability and part support in the States. If you can't get warranty service or magazines, the spec sheet doesn't matter. Number 8. The Double Barrel Contender. Now for something that has nothing to do with tax policy and everything to do with a machinist showing off. This is a one-off custom build on the Thompson Center G2 Contender action, and it's an over-under. Not two barrels in the same caliber. 17 HMR on top, 17 Winchester Super Magnum on the bottom. Two different rimfire cartridges, one break-action pistol. The clever part is the selector. The Contender already had a rimfire centerfire firing pin selector built in, and the builder reworked it to choose top barrel or bottom barrel instead. Flick it one way, you're firing HMR. Flick it the other, WSM. There's a dual extractor that pulls both cases at once, and the lower barrel has a regulator so you can dial in where the two rounds converge downrange. That last detail is the actual engineering. Two cartridges with different velocities and different recoil, made to hit the same place. That's a problem double rifle makers have wrestled with for 150 years. Solved on a rimfire pistol. Verdict? Pure craftsmanship, zero practicality. And I love it. And it's the last unbuyable gun on this list. Everything from here on, you can actually own. Number 7. Meligan MG22. Remember that myth I mentioned? Here's the gun that busts it. The MG22 is a fixed-blade knife with a 6-shot 22 LR revolver built into the handle, 12 inches overall, a 6.7-inch blade in hardened 440C stainless, a 3.5-inch rifled barrel, a 420 stainless frame, and 70/75 aluminum grip panels. There's a manual trigger and a manual safety. They also offer an MG25 and 25 ACP. This is not a prop, it's a real ATF-regulated firearm classified as an any other weapon. And this is where people get it wrong constantly. AOW does not mean no stamp. It means a different stamp. You still register the firearm, you still file the form, you still do fingerprints and photos, you still transfer through a dealer holding the right license. What changed this year is the price. The AOW transfer tax used to be $5, and making one cost $200. Now the tax on both is $0. The paperwork didn't go anywhere. Base price is right around $1,500, with options for grip knurling, a black oxide blade, and blade engraving. As a knife, it's a legitimately nice knife. As a defensive gun, it's a 6-shot .22 with a 3.5-inch barrel bolted to something you already have to be within arm's reach to use. Buy it because it's cool. Don't buy it because you think it's a plan. Number 6. CVA Cascade Rimfire. Let's swing hard the other direction, to the cheapest gun here. CVA spent most of its life building muzzleloaders, then centerfire bolt guns. Now they've scaled the Cascade down into a .22 LR, and the pitch is simple. It handles like the deer rifle you already own, so trigger time costs pennies instead of dollars. The details are better than the price suggests. 18-inch barrel, threaded 1/2x28, 10-round rotary magazine that's 10/22 compatible, which means the aftermarket already exists on day one. A non-adjustable trigger breaking around 3 pounds. A 2-piece Picatinny rail mounted from the factory, and QD sling swivel studs. 3 models. The base gun is blued in a stealth gray polymer stock at $399. The XT gets a tungsten Cerakote finish and a fluted barrel in an olive drab painted stock for $449. The classic goes checkered walnut for $499. The polymer guns run 4.75 pounds, the walnut runs 5.5, and both polymer versions have a removable spacer so you can shorten the length of pull for a smaller shooter. Verdict? A threaded Suppressor-Ready trainer for $400 in a year when the can stamp is free. That combination is why it's this high. Number 5. Shadow Systems E526. Shadow Systems built its name on Glock pattern pistols. This January, they announced their first rifle platform, and the 11.5-inch pistol version is where the argument starts. The engineering claims are specific, which I appreciate. Hybrid profile, chrome-lined 4150 CMV barrel, a tuned gas system with a pinned gas block, a proprietary flash hider with a suppressor mounting interface, a true 2-stage duty trigger, ambidextrous controls, and furniture they designed themselves rather than pulling off a shelf. They picked 11.5 inches on purpose. For the velocity, you keep over a 10.3 or shorter. Now the number. The E526 starts at $2,179. The 16-inch rifle version starts at $2,190. Sit with that for a second. $20 separates a braced pistol from a full rifle, and the pistol is the cheaper one. That pricing structure was built for a world where the stamp cost $200. In that world, buying the pistol saved you money. In this one, you file a Form 1, pay nothing in tax, and put a real stock on it. Verdict? Probably a very good AR. But at over $2,000 for the entry price, Shadow Systems is asking you to pay premium money to enter a category everybody else has been perfecting for 20 years. Number 4. SIG 516 G3. Here's the outlier. The one gun on this list that has nothing to do with tax stamps and ranks, purely on merit. Chambered in 5.56, 16-inch cold hammer-forged barrel with a 1-in-7 twist. Short-stroke piston with an adjustable gas system. Fully ambidextrous lower. Safety, magazine release, bolt catch, and bolt release on both sides. And it has both a side charging handle borrowed from the Spear and a conventional ambi top charger, so you don't have to retrain your hands. The interesting part is under the hood. The original SIG 516 was designed to be legally distinct from the HK 416, partly by a designer who'd worked on the 416. 20 years later, HK's patents have expired, and the third-generation gun now uses rounded bolt lugs, the exact feature HK was proud of. SIG stopped working around the good idea and just used it. Independent reviewers who've shot it flag the same thing. It's balanced. That's rare for a piston AR, because the piston hardware hangs out front and most of them nosedive. This one apparently doesn't. MSRP is $2,179, but it's been selling closer to $1,900. For an ambi lower, an adjustable gas block, dual charging handles, and a hammer-forged barrel, that's not a bad number. The most rifle for the money on this list, and the only one here I'd buy without thinking about the ATF at all. Number 3. KelTec KP50. And now the stamp test starts paying off. KelTec basically owns the weird end of the 5.7 market. The old P50 fed from a P90 magazine lying flat on top of the receiver, which meant you had to open the gun up to reload it. Clever? Awkward. The KP50 flips it. The magazine now inserts from the bottom and drops free. That's 3 fixes in one move. You reload without opening the action, you get fast mag changes, and you can jungle clip 2 50-round mags together and carry 100 rounds on the gun. Beyond that, the lower is fully machined. The fire control comes from their SU-16, the grip is removable and takes AR pattern grips, and there's a B5 grip on it from the factory. The barrel is 9.6 inches, right in the sweet spot for 5.7. Threaded 1/2x28 with an A2 flash hider. Now here's the number that proves my whole point. The bare pistol is $899. The braced pistol is $1,099. And the SBR, with a real folding stock instead of a brace, is also $1,099. Same money. There's a Defender package with a Vortex red dot and Magpul backup sights at $1,349 direct from KelTec. Verdict? If your state allows it, buying the braced version at the same price as the stock version doesn't make sense anymore. Same gun, same money. And the tax that used to be the tiebreaker is gone. Number 2. Smith & Wesson M&P15 AXE 300 Blackout. This one is the purest expression of what changed this year. 8-inch barrel, 5R rifling, 1 in 7.5 twist, muzzle threaded 5/8 by 24, 7-inch Midwest Industries Combat M-Lock handguard, enhanced bolt carrier group, Radian Raptor ambi charging handle, ambidextrous controls throughout. But the real feature is the gas system. It uses Gemtech's GVAC setup, which adds an expansion chamber that vents excess gas forward out the muzzle instead of back into the receiver. If you've ever shot a suppressed short AR and walked away tasting it, you know exactly what problem that's solving. Short barrel, subsonic-friendly cartridge, suppressor-first gas design. This gun was engineered around a can. And the pricing tells you everything. The braced pistol is $1,479. The SBR, with a Magpul CTR stock and folding sights, is $1,499. $20. $20 used to be the smart play, because the brace saved you $200 in tax. Now the brace saves you nothing, and the gun was designed to wear a suppressor. And that suppressor stamp is also free. Verdict? This is the best executed idea on the list. If SBRs are legal where you live, there is no honest argument for the braced version anymore. Second, and it only lost to one thing. Number 1. KelTec SUB-SDP Nub Sub. The winner is the cheapest centerfire gun here. And it wins because it does something a tax stamp cannot buy you. The SUB-SDP is the first pistol version of the SUB-2000, the folding pistol caliber carbine KelTec has been selling for over 2 decades. It takes Glock pattern 9mm magazines, 6-inch barrel, threaded 1/2x28, 2-stage trigger breaking around 5 pounds. It carries KelTec's Gen 3 improvement that lets the front assembly pivot to the side, so it still folds with an optic mounted. There's Picatinny on top and M-Lock for a light. Here are the 2 numbers that matter. Extended. It's 17.7 inches long. Folded, it's 10. And it's under 2 inches wide. That's the whole argument. Every other gun on this list you can improve with a form and a free stamp. You cannot Form 1 your way to a 10-inch package. Folding is a mechanical property, not a legal one. Registering an AR as an SBR still leaves you a rigid object roughly 2 feet long. This one goes into a bag that doesn't look like a gun bag. Price is $599 for the standard gun. The Defender package runs $799 and adds a Vortex Crossfire red dot, a compensator, an angled magazine holder on the handguard, and 2 27-round PMags. Verdict? It's a 9mm with a 6-inch barrel, so don't pretend it's a rifle, but at $600, in a year when everybody else's advantage just got legislated away, the SUB-SDP is the only gun here whose main selling point is completely immune to what Congress does next. So here's the pattern across all 10. The stamp tax is gone. 0 for suppressors. SBRs, short-barreled shotguns, and AOWs, machine guns and destructive devices, still carry the 200. But nothing else went away. You still register the firearm, you still file the form, still do prints and photos, still wait for approval. And your state can still say no. which is why braced pistols aren't dead everywhere. They're just dead as a money-saving trick. There's also litigation working through federal court arguing that if the tax is gone, the registration scheme built on that tax should go with it. I'm not going to predict how that lands. Nobody honestly can. What I will say is this. Manufacturers spent 10 years pricing braced pistols like they were doing you a favor. Now Smith & Wesson wants $20 to upgrade you to a real stock, and KelTec wants nothing. Watch how fast the rest follow. And watch how many quietly stop making the braced version at all. So which one would you actually stamp? I'll go first. The AXE if my state allowed it. The Nub Sub if it didn't. And if you think I got the top two backwards, say so, because I go back and forth on it myself. The counter-argument is that a suppressed 300 Blackout SBR is simply a more capable gun than a folding 9mm. And that's fair. One thing I didn't cover here is what that free suppressor stamp does to barrel length math. Because the gun everybody's building right now isn't a short rifle, it's a short rifle with 8 inches of can bolted to the end. And that changes the whole conversation. That one's coming next.